Hi there, welcome to another edition of Stardom Circle. And this month's theme is also quite unique, as you have already seen, how to bring about the best in your teams. That's going to be the topic today. And we just started. Let's wait a few more seconds for people to join. And I would love to appreciate everyone who values their time and show up on time. So I will not make people who are punctual to wait for people who are not. So without waiting, because people who come late can always watch a replay if they are premium members. If not, they at least will learn to show up on time next time. All right. So without much ado, let's get started. And today's session is going to be, I think it's more tighter in that aspect. It will not probably take more than an hour, unlike previous sessions that took about 90 minutes. I will try to finish this in about an hour's time, or maybe 5-10 minutes here and there. But I will save you at least 15-20 minutes in this session. All right. So let me share my screen and start with, here it is. Start with this month's session right there. Let me just adjust my screen a little bit so I can see all of you right here. Okay. Oh, oops. No. There it is. All right. I think we are all set. So hope you can see my screen now. Let's begin. Today's topic is how to bring out the best in your teams. Let me share kind of a hard truth that most leaders don't want to hear. You don't actually build a high-performing team by pushing harder, right? You build it by unlocking what's already there. Build it by unlocking what's already there. Think about it. Right now, think about your team. There's someone, with ideas that they have never shared. Could be. You don't know because they have never shared. There's someone capable of more, but too afraid to step up, or too timid, shy to step up maybe. And there's also probably someone holding back because they don't feel seen or recognized, or they don't feel safe in some way. And here's the twist. It's not about hiring better people. It's about hiring or leading. It's not even about hiring. It's about leading better. Let me say it again. It's not about hiring better people. It's about leading better. So because the greatest leaders, they don't just create greatness. They create the conditions where greatness reveals itself. They create conditions where greatness reveals itself. So if you have ever thought, why aren't they performing the way that I know that they can, that they are capable, but they're not performing? Why? And if that question has cropped up any time, today we are going to flip that question and ask, what do I need to change in my leadership so they can, or they want to perform at their best? That's the theme of today's discussion. All right, how to bring out the best in your teams. So what do I need to change in my leadership so they can, or they want to perform better? That's where we start. And let's unlock the full potential of your team starting now. So let's start with a quick overview. So this session is all about equipping leaders with practical tools and some leadership mindsets and shifts to unlock potential to their teams. And these are the things that I do in my with my teams as well. And I've also seen other leaders doing with their teams as well, all over the world. So it's all about unlocking the full potential of your team and elevating performance, if you will, of your team, and start building this sense of ownership with the team members, and create a culture of excellence. Create a culture of excellence, even in remote or hybrid environments. It doesn't matter whether they have to be in office, in front of you, with you, in teams, whether in teams, in office, or remotely. Still, it should work. And participants today, you are going to learn, number one, how to identify hidden potential and remove those barriers to performance. That is one thing we will focus on. Second thing is how to shift from managing the tasks to inspiring that ownership. What if they take ownership of each and every task? What if they feel it is their responsibility? So that is something that we will learn. Number three, we are also let's also figure out how to create that psychological, that safety, that clarity, and also that motivation. What you need to do. And number four, see and understand and figure out how to use some real-time tools and communication strategies to elevate the team dynamics. So we'll explore all these ideas, along with exploring some real-life case studies, maybe some examples. I will share my own examples and anecdotes probably, and also these big ideas that you can implement today with action steps. Of course, all our sessions, if you have seen from the last few months, every session has an action step. And this time, if you want to whip out your notebook and start making notes. And if you are not a premium member, you're not going to get the replay link. If you are a premium Stardom Circle member, you're going to not only get a replay link, but also get a workbook that is built specifically for this session today. So you can download the workbook in your members area if you are a premium member. If you are not, I would strongly urge you to become a premium member, not just for these two benefits, which is replay access and workbook download, but you will also get access to all my other courses and training programs and access to previous month's sessions as well. Last 3 months, you can always access the last 3 sessions for the next 3 months. Like next month, the third most previous session will be removed, and always, in other words, you will always have the last 3 sessions in your members area. All right, let's go ahead. Now, why is this important? This idea of how to bring about the best in other or in your team is very important, because the best leaders aren't those who do the most. They are the ones who bring out the most in others. That's why it's important. The cost of disengagement. People have leaders always know this. The cost of disengagement is massive. When people feel they are not engaged, when they are not connected, so that leads to all kinds of different losses, like loss of productivity first and foremost, and loss of innovation. They don't feel innovative. They don't come back to you with ideas and feedback and questions. And also, it's all about morale, the team morale. Team morale goes down, leads to losses. They don't belong. They don't feel like they are belonging. So the cost of disengaged team is really, really big, really massive. That is why we need to figure this out. And also, even top performers tend to underperform in kind of toxic or unclear or uninspiring environment. So we need to make this very, very clear. And also, great leadership today is not about control at all. It's not how you control who you control. It's about co-creation and also about empowerment. You agree? Co-creation and empowerment. So these are, reasons big enough to think about this topic, implement these ideas, and make sure we as an organization and you as your organization can bring out the best in your teams, because it is important. It's not this session is not some fancy podcast or some time pass course. This is very, very deliberate, and I choose these topics and I go research. I get a month's time. By next month, I just don't come up with one topic. I do all sorts of research and talk to people like you, leaders like you, and do my homework and bring out these important elements, important strategies, if you must. So that is why Stardom Circle is so important for leaders. These are the kind of things that probably you may not find in any business school or courses online. These are created with the research. The screen you see, my presentations, they don't look beautiful. They don't look well made, but I focus more on the content and the reasoning behind the content than the presentation or the beauty. Of course, beauty is important, but it's not for these kind of sessions, right? This is a session where we all talk leadership face to face like this on Zoom or on this webinar style presentations. And I believe more than the beauty of the slides, you want to engage with the content. And I want to share these insights so that you can in turn share it with, feel free, share these ideas with others. I don't want to say that all these are copyrighted by me. There's nothing like sharing these kind of ideas. If you want to attribute, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay too. But feel free to take notes and share these ideas. All right. So again, great leadership, I was just telling, is not, today it's not about control. It's about empowering and co-creation. So there was a study by Gallup. They make all these kinds of fancy surveys and come out with a lot of data. So companies with highly engaged teams, where teams are like really the best performing teams, they show 21% measured greater profitability. I'm talking the bottom line, the profitability, not just performance, not just revenue. Profitability, 21% higher. Nothing changed. Same products, same pricing, same services, whatever the company is doing. More engaged team. You bring the best out of your existing teams. You can definitely see an average of 21% higher profitability, maybe more. That's the average. That's the study. All right. Now, if your team is underperforming, please don't hate me for this. If your team is underperforming, it may not be about them. It may be what they are not getting from you. It may be about what they are not getting from you. If you are not actively building authority, you are defaulting to invisibility or skepticism sometimes, So now, bringing out the best means it is about, thinking about a time, when someone is struggling in your team and that team member is transformed after a simple change in your leadership behavior. That's all we are going to do now. All right. We don't need to bring in any new courses, studies, some leadership coach to come and just this. If you implement these tiny ideas, little strategies, adapt it. It's not like I give you this step by, I'm going to give you the step by step, of course, but you can also feel free to change, modify, add, delete, do whatever you want with these ideas, with these big ideas or strategies, and make it your own and implement it so that your struggling team member or members get transformed, with these simple changes, simple tweaks, if you want to call it. So in leadership behavior, let's explore. See, my philosophy of success, if you want to call it that way, is about this high performance leader, what we call as high performance leadership equation. So the equation goes like this, what you see on the screen. It's potential times clarity times trust times ownership is equal to performance. So any of these factors are increased, your performance or your team's performance goes up dramatically, drastically. Just by improving clarity, for example, increases productivity or performance. Just by increasing, the potential or the trust, nothing else, just the trust or the ownership, there's something that makes people feel, okay, this is my task, this is my contribution. So that will increase the performance. So great leaders, they don't push harder, as we figured earlier. They remove friction. Great leaders, let me say it again, great leaders don't push harder. They remove the friction. They remove the friction. They ask better questions. When you ask better questions, you bring about better answers. And they create environments where their people can show up fully, completely, fearlessly. And they don't have to feel that or intimidated by your leadership. It's very, very, because in most situations where leaders are with their teams, things get a little, tied up, buttoned up, official. I'm not saying that it has to be very casual, but at the same time, it need not be so formal that it will intimidate. Your leadership should empower and not intimidate anybody, especially your team members. So your job isn't to do more, it's to bring more out of others, right? So I would like to ask you 2-3 questions here. Number one, what would change? Ask yourself, what would change if my team brought their A game, every day without me micromanaging them? What would happen? Think about it. This is the question. You can write it down. Let me say it again. What would change if my team brought their A game, their best self, every day without me interfering or micromanaging them? Question number one. You can also reflect on the second question. How would I feel to lead a self-motivated, solution-driven team that I trust completely? How would it feel to lead a self-motivated, solution-driven team that I trust completely? Think about it. If you are watching the replay, pause and think about each of these questions. Question number 3, self-reflection question, is what would that do for me or my time specifically, or my impact or my business? What would it mean that will do for my time, my impact, and my business or your profession? So 3 reflection questions about this big idea. And if you are ready, we can move forward. So let me also share how to think through this entire concept of how to bring out the best in your teams. How do I want you to think through this? Number 1, shift in mindset. And number 2 is about leading through that influence, that structure, and the purpose, not pressure. Got it? So shift in mindset is twofold. Number 1, how to go from how do I get more of my team, or how do I get more from my team, also works, or out of my team. The shift should happen. How do I create conditions where they give their best willingly? How do I create? Shift is from how do I get more of my team, because every leader has this, always they have to have this benchmark. This is something, I want to get this much productivity out of my team. It could be anything. It could be productivity, it could be trust, it could be responsibility, whatever that metric is for you. As a leader, your job is to get more out of your team. That is always going to be one of your priorities, I would say. Now the mindset shift is, instead of looking at this way, how do I get more? Instead of looking at it, the greed point of view, why don't we turn this around and ask this question? How do I create a condition or the conditions where they willingly give their best? They take that ownership, they willingly give their best. So that's the mindset shift that we are talking about. Let's see how to get to that. So today I want to share again a 5-step or 5-part framework, and each step is going to add to the previous step. So how to bring out the best in your teams, because I am a frameworks person, right? I want to create these kind of mental models or frameworks or strategies and keep it simple and draw them out so that I can teach people easily and people can take this and implement it in their own businesses, in their own careers, without going to or buying an expensive course or hiring some high-handed leadership coach or spending money. I mean, keep it simple and keep it doable. So let's explore. Let's start with the first one. The very first step in this 5-part strategy or framework to bring out the best in you is number one is clarity of create that extreme clarity. So what do I mean by that? Number one, clarity always beats charisma. You may be a very charismatic leader. Maybe you will get a lot of applauses when you speak and people attentively listen to you. You've got a lot of this. When you walk into a room, everybody will notice you. That's all fine. But clarity always beats, is bigger than charisma, right? So setting clear goals so that people can understand, and clarity about the roles every team member has to play, and clarity of expectations. What do you expect from them, from each one of them, and what they can expect from you, and also clarity about outcomes. These are so important. And with these 4 clarities, a lot of your struggles or the struggles of your team members would already be solved right at the first step. Clear goals, clear roles, clear expectations, both sides, and defined outcomes. That is about clarity. And then second thing is removing ambiguity and decision making. So pre-identifying, what we call preemptive, figuring out where could ambiguity crop up. So thinking about this in advance brings more clarity, obviously, right? So, and also about decision making, who is going to decide what at what level. So different levels of decision making, and also creating alignment between individual and team goals. Very, very important. What if let's say there are 5 members in your team, in one of your teams, and if each one of them have their goals which are not aligned with the team's goal. As a team, you have a goal, and individually we have all goals. What if they are all like contradicting with each other? Or even if one person's goal is different from the team's role, the entire team's productivity will be lower, isn't it? Or there will be at least friction. So your job as a leader is to remove that friction. So how to remove that friction? Creating that alignment. Let all these goals come together and we all have this common goal for each team. So now at this stage, probably I would want to give you a little exercise. So write this down. What key decisions or responsibilities are still unclear on your team? Think about it. This is a step 1 exercise. So in order to bring out the clarity, the question you need to ask yourself and your team is, what key decisions or responsibilities are still unclear on your team? Brainstorm this, yourself or with your team, so you can address all those clarity issues. Step 1, solve. Let's go to step 2, is build psychological safety. Build psychological safety. What do I mean by that? First thing is trust. Trust is the kind of foundation of team performance, isn't it? No trust, no performance will struggle, right? Trust is the bedrock of your team and its performance. So sometimes, people don't speak up, or sometimes they don't take risks, or share ideas if they fear that someone is going to judge me, or someone is going to um, you know belittle me, or someone is not going to recognize me, someone is not going to say it's a bad idea. So when we want our teams to speak up, we have to remove these barriers, or these barriers could cause friction. Again, removing friction means remove the risks, remove the fear of judgment, so that people can freely speak irrespective of how good, bad, or worse their ideas or feedback are. And it's also about modeling your own vulnerability and openness as a leader. I mean, I share all my stories with my team, especially the stories of uh, instances where I was vulnerable. For example, when I first started doing these kind of videos, like, I would freeze. I couldn't speak, although I had this mind full of ideas that I wanted to say. Mind is running, racing actually, but nothing would come out of my mouth. And I share this with my team members who are struggling to go on video or do a webinar or do a presentation, because it's normal. Everyone probably goes through the same process. And once you learn the skills, when you start doing this again and again, sometimes even technical difficulties can freeze people, can create a lot of difficulties and struggle. So once the friction is removed, it becomes easier. So when there is vulnerability, and you share that you are also a normal person like them, you are lowering that uh, that gap between you and your team, and creating that openness as a leader will bring you closer to your team. So that is the kind of it. Also, the point we are talking about is psychological safety. When do we feel safe? When we feel that we are all together in this, right? And the team member should feel, okay, my team leader, that's you, is with me, and he or she is going to um, save me at any time. So they have this safety, psychological safety. And also, it's about normalizing learning from failure. It's okay to fail. And if they fear failure, they will not even try. Basic psychological safety. You don't need an MBA degree or an expensive course to learn this. It is something that happens every day in your life, in your home, in your work. So even with kids, if they know, of course, they have to know that they have failed. And the next step after failing is to learning from that failure. So that way, they don't repeat the same mistakes that they did before. So failing is okay. Failing is normal, especially in business environments where things are evolving, and situations are changing. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes worse, sometimes great. So it's okay to fail, but learn from that failure. That is going to be, in other words, normalizing that failure brings that psychological safety in teams. So I would like to give you a vulnerability, 2-minute vulnerability reset for leaders. So this will only take you 2 minutes. Here's a question that will act as a reflection point for you, and it goes like this: when was the last time someone or somebody challenged your idea? Think about it. When was the last time that someone or somebody challenged your idea, and how did you respond? Take 2 minutes. If you're watching this as a replay, pause and take 2 minutes. If you are in the live session, we don't want to wait for 2 minutes. Write this down and come back to this when you are watching the replay. So the question again is, when was the last time someone challenged you, and how did you respond? Think about it. Let's go to step number 3. How or what kind of shift you want to make from control to ownership? Control to ownership. How do you do that? That is step number 3. See, ownership fuels engagement, and ownership also adds accountability to every task, right? So how do you make someone feel that they own this task or this contribution, this situation? Give them autonomy, at least to that part of the project or the teamwork, and not see. Give them autonomy, not just assignments. Is going to be the mantra. Give them autonomy along with the assignments. And if you just give the assignment and don't give the autonomy, everything someone has to come and ask somebody, ask you, get their permission at each and every step. That is not ownership, and that is not taking responsibility. Let them know this is the task, this is your responsibility, and you own this. The outcome also you will own. So that means now they have that accountability as well. They are accountable to themselves, and also don't forget to ask these questions. Like these are very powerful questions. When someone comes to you for discussing, when you are discussing with your team members, ask these questions like, what do you propose? Instead of what's the problem? That's a big difference. If someone comes back with a problem, instead of asking like, what's the problem? You ask, what do you propose? That means now they take responsibility, they take ownership. Oh, this is a problem. And they also come with your solution, with a solution, or what they think as a solution. So that is breeding that idea, or that culture of owning the situation, not just focusing on. So they should not think that there is my leader will solve these problems. If there is any problem, all I have to do is take my problem to the leader, and the leader will solve this problem. I mean, that is a very defeating. Every day you'll be fighting fires throughout the day. When people know that you solve problems, what do you get? You get more problems, right, to solve. What if you turn this around? Instead of asking what's the problem, you start asking, what do you propose? I mean, in fact, in my office, we have this culture right from the very early stages. Of course, every day we will have some issues or some problems. That is common. When you're a growing company, you should have problems. There should be issues, and you're solving those issues. It need not be your issues or your problems. It could be your customer's problem that you're solving. So I train my teams to come back. They can come back to me freely. My doors are not closed at all. They're always open. They can come back to me anytime with any problem, provided they also come with 2 proposed solutions to those problems. 2, not just 1. 2 probable or possible solutions. Sometimes they bring more than 2. They come with an option. They come with the problem. They say, this is the problem, and I propose solution A, B, and C. And then ask for feedback. What do you think? What would you do? So they come with the problem and the solutions to those problems. That's very powerful. And also, when you are solving those problems, you co-create the solutions to inspire, ownership. So let's say you just don't give the solution, you create the solution together. I mean, I have early on in my career, I got one of the best leadership advisors ever in my career, in my life, I would say. And one of my mentors gave me this best advice. He said, Ram, these 5 words are so important. The best advice that I could give you, he said, people support what they create. People support what they create. And I implemented this. I see drastic results. Now I added one more word to this. 6 words actually now. People only support what they create. People only support what they create. That's why it's so important to fuel that engagement, fuel that ownership, fuel that sense of accountability. When you co-create, they will do it as their own. In fact, they should. That will increase what? Their output. That's what we want. That's the theme of the session today, right? So now here's the checklist. 2 things for you. You should ask yourself, write it down. What decision or decisions can I stop making for my team? Make a list of all those decisions that you are doing right now that others can do or make, right? And the second question is, where can I trust them more without losing quality? Giving ownership is not like giving all your responsibility to somebody else and you go and start meditating. That's not what I meant. Figure out stages or tasks or places where you can give or trust your team members or team more, at the same time not lose the quality or sometimes the productivity, right? So these are the 2 questions that you can use at this stage to gain more clarity or big idea about step number 3. Let's go to step number 4, which is using strengths-based leadership. And we talked about, whenever we talk about leadership, this point usually comes up, and it's simply like you can't bring out the best in others, in your team members, if you don't know what is number 1. What is the strength? Number 1, learn what energizes each member. Every person is different. People have to bring their energies, right? Strengths also means energies. So what energizes each team member? You should know this at the back of your hand, right? And match those roles and projects to personal strengths. Everybody has some strength. Someone is so good at speaking on the phone. Someone is good at maybe working on the laptop or the computer. Someone is so good at fixing stuff. Someone is good at organizing things, bringing people together. Someone is so good at, summarizing everything and, interacting with others. So everybody has got multiple skills like this, your team members. So match or bunch these roles with their strengths. That will increase the best. So they already know this. So let's say someone is so good at talking to people, they don't hesitate to communicate. So they can become your team's voice, for example, or they can discuss with team members and they can become the voice. They can do videos for you, maybe. I'm just thinking aloud. And also acknowledge and celebrate uniqueness regularly. This has to be a regular. I do this in every team meeting I do. Every person is so unique and they have those uniqueness. When you say, I know that you have this uniqueness, and I know that you are a specialist at that, and I know this person can do these things better. So you are celebrating and acknowledging the uniqueness. That will give them recognition, and they tend to do more of what they are unique. That will give them that I'm not just part of this team, I'm unique as well, and I am contributing because of my uniqueness. Correct? So as an exercise at this stage number, I think we are stage number 4, write down one strength you have been underutilizing in a team member. For every team, if you have 5 members in your team, 10 members, 50, 100, I don't care how many you have. For each person, you write down the one strength that the team member may have that you're not utilizing or you're underutilizing. Someone is so good at, let's say, drawing things, like putting things down, drawing, doing these sketches. That could be something that you're not using. Maybe someone else is doing or so good at, let's say, doing videos. I'm just thinking different things. Maybe it's so different in your team, the tasks, the roles. I'm just thinking aloud. If I had a team member who is very good at making videos, making reels, let's say, for example, I would definitely ask her to do more reels professionally. Maybe I could ask that person to do more reels for the company, for the marketing department, like that. So identify one strength for every team member that you have that you are underutilizing or not utilizing, and make it a point to include this strength in your activities so that they feel recognized. And the point is how to bring out the best in your team, right? If we keep focusing back on this goal, the outcome is how to bring out the best in others. First, identify what's the best in others, then definitely you can bring out the best. Next step, last step, it's about feedback. It's about delivering that feedback that kind of fuels, not freezes. Your feedback should fuel more development, more output, more involvement than freeze the person and makes them wonder whether they're contributing or not. I mean, that's a very bad feeling in teams to have. So your feedback is a good tool. I would say it's the greatest tool if done right. Feedback is great if done right, and people have to be very, very careful with feedback because it can also harm if not done right. So how to do it right? Number one, make it very specific to the event. Make it very timely and tied to specific outcomes. Make it specific, timely, and tied to specific outcomes. Point number one. Second big idea about feedback is use what I call as feed forward. It's not just about feedback. Use feed forward, which means set the right expectations, bring clarity, think about the goals, think about the outcomes, give this feedback in advance. If you do this, I would expect this. That is feed forward. We can call it as feed forward. And also make it safe to both give and receive feedback. Say they may also have a feedback about you. So make it safe. They can come back and say, okay, this is the feedback I got. You said like this, but the output came out like unexpected. So that is a feedback. You need that feedback. So, and here's a sequence that we use in Stardom. So whenever we want to give a feedback, I want to give feedback to my team, or team member wants to give a feedback to me, or they want to give a feedback to each other, or sometimes even with our clients, we try to give them some feedback. So we use this, I call it as a feedback script. We start the sentences like this. I want to share this with you. Number one, we start with, I noticed. You start your entire feedback with using these words, these phrases. I noticed that the image that you sent is low quality. And just an example. Or the story that you sent is not relevant. Could possible. So we start with I noticed. The second phrase we use to start these conversations is the impact was. Now you are focusing on what happened, the actual impact. You're not blaming the person. You're not being critical of the information or the person. You are saying what's the impact. So people want to know what's the impact. And the third way that we give feedback or exchange feedback is by asking this question, what's your perspective? What's your perspective? What's your perspective on using this email on the website? What do you think? It's the same thing as what do you think is slightly simpler way. People may start saying what they think, but when you phrase it, what's your perspective? Then they analyze what they think and give you the result of those thoughts. That's the difference between perspective and asking about the perspective and asking about thinking. Perspective will add their wisdom into the thinking. All right. So we can also ask another fourth way is what can we try next time? So that is how we phrase it. So this is kind of a 4-part feedback script. Let me say it again. Number one, we start the feedback with I noticed. Second way, we start with the impact was, like focusing on the result. Third way is what's your perspective on, and the situation or the question, whatever that follows these phrases. The fourth way is what can we try different next time, right? 4 different ways. So now exercise for you is identify your current feedback conversation that you have been avoiding or you have been having, and see whether you can make any improvements or bring any structure into these kind of feedback, right? So now let me also share a quick case study that I had prepared specifically for this session. I wanted to tell you about one of my coaching clients. It's kind of a mid-size tech company, and its operations team was known for hitting these deadlines, but barely, they barely touched upon those deadlines. So engagement was kind of low, and innovation was probably non-existent. Everybody was so mechanically doing everything, and everything felt like a task in the system and not a mission. There's a big difference between a task and a mission, right? So the COO, let's call her Priya for now, was she's a very highly efficient person, but unknowingly she was kind of micromanaging each and everything. Every decision had to pass through. I mean, she was just trying to be perfect. She was just trying to make sure nothing goes haywire here and there. So micromanagement started by thinking that only she can make the decision that is good for the organization or the team. So every decision had to pass through her, and every mistake, she would think she's the best person to fix that mistake. So she became a problem solver, good in a way, but when it comes to bringing out the best in others, that's going to hurt. So her team always followed orders upon orders, but never took that ownership. No accountability, no ownership. They're all doing their tasks, and they know if they come up with any problem, we can go back to our COO. She is going to fix this problem. I don't have to think about the solution at all. So we did a session on a leadership workshop with Priya, and tried this simple change. So she stopped solving problems, first of all. I mean, immediately, whenever there's a problem, she used to jump on solving, because she used to get that feeling of contribution when she solved problems. She used to think, I solve these problems, I'm doing good for the company. Instead, we trained her to ask her team, like, what do you propose? What do you think? What do you propose? What are your perspectives? Like these kind of questions that you just wrote down. So she was also asked to schedule one-on-ones focused on not on performance reviews, but on strengths and goals, and what kind of support her team needed based on these kind of performance reviews is one other thing. Asking about strengths, goals, and what they need is one whole one-on-one meetings focused on these ideas. So and here are the results. In 90 days, in about 3 months, her 2 team members initiated completely new and innovative processes that reduced the bottleneck by 40%. They had practical knowledge because they were in that every day, and because of aligning all these strengths and giving them that ownership, giving them that autonomy to decide, they came up with solution to a bottleneck by 40%, to reduce the bottlenecks by 40%. And the second result that happened was one quiet analyst. I mean, she was so quiet and timid, I would say, or maybe an introvert, like me. I'm an introvert. I'm given a chance, I would rather sit in one corner and with my laptop or with my videos, and I would do something with writing, publishing these things. But sometimes I also want to do these videos and go and speak in front of stages, enter into coaching sessions. This is also good, but given a preference, I would say I'm an introvert. So like that, there was an introvert analyst that led a mini project, something smaller in size, but very important. And that saved this company about $30,000 in terms of monetary value. It was nobody thought that she was capable of these things, but she did. Right? That is one of the results from this session. And also, Priya reported feeling less like a bottleneck and more like a coach. Now she is not a problem solver anymore. She is more of a coach. So every day she looks forward to meet her team. Her team looks forward to meet her. Together, they solve problems, they find solutions, and together they are all progressing. Everybody gets their due attention, due recognition, and everyone feels they are contributing to the overall growth. Now, they are not just doing tasks, they are on mission. No, they have a mission, they are on their missions. All right, so that's the leadership change. Then the lesson is, I mean, it wasn't a new system altogether, or a new any new hires or bringing in new talent or anything like that, or even new tools. It was just a shift in the mindset, how the way she led and how she listened. That's the shift that happened. These 4 or 5 steps that we follow, that's how this happened. So that's how you bring the best in your team. Let's also explore, as usual, we have these do's and don'ts. I mean, that has become kind of a custom, isn't it? So what are the 3, 4, 5 do's and don'ts that I want to recommend? Number 1, where are they? Yeah, here are the do's. First of all, do lead with clarity, not assumptions. I mean, you already know this. Second point, do create a rhythm of communication, which means people should know that they're going to communicate at this stage, this time. There's a system, there's a rhythm. System sounds very technical, and you don't want to schedule 100 new meetings, whereas a rhythm means it's more harmonious in nature, isn't it? Rhythms are harmonious. So this is what. So when something is happening in the organization, it's rhythmic, it is pleasant. So, and ask more than you tell. I mean, you want to speak, of course you want to speak. You also ask what you want before you speak or after you speak, so that you also listen to others' perspective, others' feedback, feed forward. Remember, and also do celebrate small wins. Do celebrate the ownership and allow others to take credit as a leader. That will make you even better leader. It's even better if you give credit to every person in the team for their contribution, right? It's not just we're all solving one big problem. At the same time, we are also acknowledging the contributions of each of our team members. That becomes so important. So we do this at Stardom as well, because each and every person who works on a project, because when we work with business leaders, thought leaders who want to publish their work with us, their stories, we deploy our team, which consists of interviewers, writers, editors, formatters, graphic designers, and marketing executives, and publishing. All of these people will get involved in each and every project. So our social media team. So every person's contribution, I make sure that we recognize in every meeting. We make sure you are important. We tell that to each and every person in the team that, yes, here's your contribution. You are important. Without you, this project wouldn't have happened. Makes them feel good. It's important, isn't it? They have to feel good because they have really contributed. So that way, celebrate those small wins, celebrate those small ownership, and also don't micromanage. Think of Priya anytime you are catching yourself micromanaging. Don't micromanage or solve every problem. Let your team members come to you. I mean, let them be free to come to you with their problems, but they also get a chance to solve those problems on their own, right? You ask them, what do you propose? What do you suggest? How do we solve this problem? What do you think is a solution? So together you build the solution, and then what they do? People only support what they create. The best leadership advice ever, right? So don't ignore point number 2, silent contributors, because they may be contributing, but they are not talking, they are not saying, they are not telling. As a leader, it's your job to recognize, go deeper, understand each and every person's contribution, and bring it out. And don't tolerate ambiguity in performance expectations. If something is vague, something is not clear, something is not clearly in measurable metrics, that's ambiguous, right? When in our case, sometimes when an editor says, okay, give me some time to edit this, then ask how much time. What do you think it will take? Is it going to take 1 day, a few hours, an entire month? And let's say they say an entire month, and then the next question is, I'm going to ask them, what is going to happen each and every day? How do we quantify this? 8 hours a week, 40 hours 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. 1 month is 160 hours. So is this going to take 160 hours to edit a piece of content? How much? Then the next deeper level is, what's your productivity? Like every hour or every day, how many words are edited? This can be measured easily, right? Before, after. So like that. Ambiguity in performance or performance expectations, don't tolerate. Figure this out, clear this out. Fourth, don't delay hard conversations. Very, very important. Usually what happens when there are some difficult conversations, people tend to postpone these conversations to a later date. They think after we finish this client's project, or after we finish this other thing, this project, we'll talk about this. Then those talks will never happen. That will create even more bigger issues. The chasm will grow bigger. The gap will grow bigger, and it becomes even more difficult to cross this chasm or build that bridge. So sooner the better. If you think there is a hard conversation that is happening, don't delay it, make it happen. So do's and don'ts in order to bring the best out of people, right? That's what we are discussing. So now first things to do, quick action points. Download your workbook if you are a premium member, and choose one team member. Today you can do this today, and book a 10-minute one-on-one with that person, and then ask, what's one thing I could do differently to support you better this month? Try this as an exercise, try this as an experiment, if you will, and let me know what happens. Ask this one question, what's one thing I could do differently to support you better this month? Maybe we're nearing the end of the month, so early next month you can do one of these questions, or end of this month you can do this question and ask how you can support your team member better next month. All right. So this one question would probably unlock a whole new level of performance from that person, right? So, and also next thing to do, if you are not a Stardom Circle member yet, join today at stardomcircle.com, and as a premium member, I'm saying, and unlock the replays and gain full access to the Gain course, and also enjoy over $4,000 worth of benefits. Plus, you will gain access to the advanced sessions like this each and every month for an entire year, including replays and workbooks. And if you are already a Stardom Circle premium member, and if you have not written a book yet, schedule a call with one of our publishing advisors. And by the way, I'm also running clarity sessions for those of you who are not clear about you want to write a book, but you don't know whether it's the right decision, what kind of topic to create, what will I write in my book, do I have enough time to do it, what kind of publishing options do I have. There are hundreds of different questions, and sometimes it's also about having that clarity in your mind, or confidence, or even courage sometimes comes in way. So to figure out all these things to get 100% clarity, and also decide whether writing a book you should do it now, like you should write a book now, or do it later, maybe later stages in your life, maybe down the line 2 years, 5 years, or maybe never, maybe it's not for you, depending on your preferences, your aspirations, and your needs. So I run clarity sessions like this. These are paid clarity sessions. I personally come online with you one-on-one. This is not a group session. And we both sit together. I bring my workbook, I bring my charts, I bring my questions, and I coach you, train you, and ask you questions. And together, we'll figure out by the end of 90 minutes, you'll have a plan of action and what to do, and all your questions about publishing and your business as a whole in the lenses of how to use a book as a strategy, like BAS, will be clear. And I have also shared the recordings with you and the workbook that we did and the plan of action with you after the call. So to get access to those calls, just go to stardombooks.com/clarity-session. That's clarity-session on stardombooks.com. Go there, check it out, and let's catch up again. As I told you, we just took 1 hour and a minute more to conclude this session. If you have any questions at all about this session, please feel free to send me your questions. I'd be more than happy to personally answer all of your questions. And have a great day ahead. I'm going to end this call now. Again, any questions, feel free to let me know. And thank you.